Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Tuning in. Today we have a fun episode. We're going to be talking with a local award-winning children's book author, author in general, and her name is Allison Bork. She has a middle name. I think I heard how to pronounce it, but I'll let her pronounce it in just a moment. We're going to be talking about her book series, The Alley Cat. Essentially, she is, like I said, an award-winning author who began her career as a teacher after graduating from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette with a degree in elementary education. She earned a law degree from the Southern University Law Center in 2007. I don't know why I want to say 2017. And then after practicing law for 6 years, she traded in writing trial briefs for children's books. So, Allison, welcome to the Tea Podcast.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
So, real quick, just kind of let people know a little bit about yourself, and if you're not originally from here, where are you from, and like what kind of helped you become who you are?
So I'm Allison Foti Bork. Foti is my maiden name, and I'm from here, born and raised in Lafayette. I went to Milton Elementary, and then Como High School. I went to UL, and then I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge. And so I taught school for a year. I was a teacher. I got a degree in elementary education, and but all along I wanted to be a lawyer. I think because I watched Legally Blonde, and they had a cute little Chihuahua. So I did get a little dog named Bruiser, and I did go to law school. I practiced law as assistant attorney general for the state of Louisiana for almost 8 years, and I really loved practicing law. I loved to write. I loved being a part of state defense for here, and I worked here in Lafayette. But at the time, we had two kids who were young. They were 6 and 4, and I decided that I wanted to take a year off and just be at home with them a little bit, then go back to practicing law. So while I was at home with them, we always read them books at night, and they had a ton of books all over their floor, all over the bookshelf, and they wanted me to buy them more books. And I was trying to be frugal, and I just said, hey, how about I just write you a story for tonight? You know, just trying to get them to go to bed. And then they jumped up and down. They jumped on the bed, fell off the bed, saying, yes, you need to do that. And so that was kind of my aha moment that made me think, you know what? I should write down stories, because I always like to write poetry. I always like to imagine and daydream and all of that good stuff. And I never really had time to put, pencil to paper. So we ended up reading another story that night and put them to bed. And then I went downstairs and got a loose leaf piece of paper and a pencil and just started writing what is now the first book of the Alley Cat series, Alley Cat and the Thursday Dessert Day. And I left the ending blank and read it to them the next night. And they had all of these wild endings, and ended up publishing it. And long story short, haven't gone back to practicing law yet.
Wow. All right. So, so if you didn't know, you were watching the Tea. So, I want to know, okay, so you were not a book writer initially. You were a law professional, which does not sound like it leads to being a creative children's book writer. You went, after that night, you read your books to your children and put them to bed, and you grabbed your paper and just started writing. What came to your mind? Like, how did you derive the idea for this book, The Alley Cat? Like, do you like cats? Are you a crazy cat lady? Like, what does that look like?
Some people would say I'm a crazy cat lady, but I only have 2 cats. So.
Okay, that's not too bad.
No. And I have a dog, a corgi named Winnie. So I have always loved cats. And I like cats because they're quirky. They get into trouble, but they can always get themselves out of trouble. I mean, most of the time. So
And you never really own a cat. They usually own you.
they do. They do. And it's funny because my husband did not like cats. He didn't want cats. And so now they're like this.
Yeah.
And it always happens that way. And the cats always like the people who really don't like them. So that's why cats are just so quirky. So I always liked cats, and I thought, a cat would be a great character because they can get into trouble but get themselves out of it. And I wanted all of these books to be problem-solving books and lesson-based. So I started writing the first book, and I thought the main character should be named Alley Cat, not just because my name is Allison, but when I was in elementary school, and I was
Close enough.
Yeah, I was daydreaming in class as usual, thinking of stories, and my teacher snapped her fingers, and she would say, "Alley Cat, come back down to earth," instead of being pay attention. So for me, Alley Cat was somebody or a character who loved to be creative or daydream and just have a big imagination. So I knew I wanted that character to be that. And the first book was written, Thursday Dessert Day is written because my kids have a milk protein allergy, and sometimes they miss out on ice cream or desserts. And my daughter luckily has grown out of it, but my son still has it. And so, a lot of times they would come home and they would feel left out. So I wanted to write a story that would help other kids who feel left out because of one reason or another, and come up with your own solution, not just kind of get sad and not know what to do, but problem solve. Help yourself, pick yourself up.
Yeah, man, problem solving, that's a tricky one for kids. I mean, they have to be taught and kind of, I guess, I don't want to say groomed, but in a way, shown how to solve things on their own. And I have a 6-year-old. Well, he's about to be 6 in August. I'm pretty much saying he's 6, even though as a parent, I should not be already aging him. And there's so many times where he struggles to solve something on his own. He wants our help. And I'm like, Bennett, you can do this. You can figure it out yourself. And then there's times where he'll start having a little panic tantrum, and I'll just walk away. I'm like, look, I think you can figure this out yourself. I've shown you how to do it already in the past. Just take a moment and look at it. And then once he calms down and reassesses his situation, he tends to kind of figure that out. So your book, in the character Alley Cat, that's kind of some of the, is that some of the lessons that are built into it? Because I mean, you were a former teacher.
Yes.
I'm guessing that your teacher skills kind of go into that role.
They do. I think all of my background plays a role. Teacher, I would teach my kids and use books as tools and resources to help them instead of us verbalizing it, because they hear as parents and teachers say the same thing. But if you read a story and they resonate with the character, sometimes it means more, and they remember that. And of course, being a lawyer, you're always problem solving and you're always trying to get creative with your side of the story. So and also just being confident in your skills, like you said, being confident that you can solve your problems.
Do you use big law words in your book?
I tend to do that, and I have to kind of go back and let younger kids read it, because I do. Like the new book, Cattywampus. I mean, it's a fun word. It's a big word. I didn't even know what the word meant. And you don't use that usually in in a trial or anything. But
what does Cattywampus mean?
It means backwards, askew, kind of like wonky. And when I was trying to Google words that sounded, or like a thesaurus, referred to wacky, because I didn't want to be Wacky Wednesday, I saw the word cattywampus, and I was like, that is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. For a second, I thought cattywampus. Whenever I was reading some of the bio for you, I was like, cattywampus, is that a character? But then I saw Wampus Wednesday, and I'm like, maybe it's not a character. So at first, I thought it was a character, like Cattywampus, like Alley Cat and the Cattywampus. I'm like, there's a character, but no, it's an actual real term.
It's a real word. Wow. It's a cool one too.
That is a cool word. All right, so on the way here to get ready to do this, I think we might have a comment. Give me a second. Yeah, I think I have a comment. All right, so Lori Orlinsky says, my kids love the Alley Cat series, and I have to move my logos there. And then she also says that, give me a second.
Hopefully it's appropriate. I know Lori.
She says, my 6-year-old has read all of the Alley Cat books. The newest book is her favorite. She learned how to think positive through it. There you go. Thanks for the comments, Lori. So yeah, okay. So my question on the way here, and I have to ask because it felt like an elephant style thing in the room for me, is why stop law, which essentially pays bills, that's your income, to get into a field that, first of all, is a creative field. Creative fields are hard to get started in. They're not the most lucrative in the beginning.
Right.
And let alone the written word industry. That's a hard industry to get into. So obviously it wasn't money driven.
Right.
But do you make money from it? Obviously you sell your books. Mm-hmm. You have products. I see a small little plush toy there. What does that look like for you? And is it something that sustains you, or it sustains you in a different way other than monetarily?
It definitely sustains me in a different way. I get asked that question a lot. And usually at author visits at schools, they always say, how much money do you make?
Of course, of course.
And I always have a standard answer, which is true. I usually give back more than what I make with these books. I donate a lot. The reason I do this is because it makes me happy and it makes others happy. And I mean, truthfully, I 100% feel that this is God's will, because as long as I just keep doing whatever I'm doing and doors open, I say yes to it, even if it's a free author visit or can you donate? Yes. And yes. And I see the smiles, things just work out. And we've been able to, survive and make it. And the series has survived and made it. And I really think it's just a part of a bigger plan.
Yeah, no, I love that. All right. So you do it because you love it. And I think that speaks volumes, because if you don't do something because you love it, then you're probably not going to do it for very long.
Right.
Because, if your heart's not in it, you just lose interest in it pretty quick. I was looking through your website, and I noticed that there was another lady on some of the videos on your website, and this lady was referred to as the Duchess of York. Who is that? And obviously I feel like it sounds like royalty. And I'm, maybe I'm obviously clueless on it because I'm asking you about it. Who is that in relation to the Alley Cat series, or you in general? Like, who is the Duchess of York?
Well, she's not related to me, which would be super cool.
Yeah, that would be
royalty.
Great.
So the Duchess of York is Sarah Ferguson. They call her Fergie. She is, she lives overseas, and she's royalty. And she started a story time during the pandemic, and she started asking for book submissions, and she was going to read it on her channel, Story Time with Fergie and Friends. And so 10,000 or so books were submitted, and she picked Alley Cat and the Friendship Friday. And after I submitted, I got an email that it was selected, and, we talked about the book and how she was going to read it on which day. I was to send, certain pictures. And of course I sent her all of the plushies and all of the books. And
of course you did.
Mm-hmm. It's in everything.
Why not send royalty a bunch of stuff, right?
You can have it all. Yeah. And just a quick side note, the first book I sent to the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Will and Kate.
Really?
Yes, and so they wrote me back, and they said that their son at the time, because I don't think they had the daughter, enjoyed the books, which I have framed on my wall, which is super cool. And so getting back to the Duchess of York, she ended up asking if I would be a part of her segment called Little Red News. And it's a kind of like a give back, pay it forward segment where you do something good for the community. And I had these story walks that I put out here in Lafayette and at schools. And it's just the book pages on those, like, it looks like political signs.
Yeah.
And so there's like 6 of them front and back. And kids and families get to go and read and walk through. And there's QR codes with songs and dances that are a part of the series that we've written, and cute little fun activities they can do. And so they read that outside. And so she had us film it at St. Bernard School in Brobridge, and I sent it to her, and she put it on her channel, and she said such kind things and so many great, she's like, I'll support you whenever, however. She's great.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a short bit of it, and it was really cool to see. And I was like, I gotta ask Allie, like, who is this lady? Like, because you hear Duchess, okay, obviously it sounds like royalty and all that. So I was, that's great. And then the Will and Kate thing. I mean, come on. Oh yeah, Fergie, come on. But yeah, that's really cool. So what is beyond that, which is already pretty far? Has your book gotten into the hands of anybody that you were kind of starstruck over, besides, okay, obviously the Will and Kate connection, but like, is there anything else that you can refer to that you maybe had like this moment of like, man, this is really cool?
A few things. So Michelle Stafford, who plays Phyllis on The Young and the Restless, she was looking for books for her bookshelf on Instagram. She had just made this cute little bookshelf for her kids. And I sent her a box of books for her bookshelf. Some were mine, some were others that I had at home. And she made this long video of how much she loved it. And that was super cool. She's from The Young and the Restless. And last year, I sent my golf book. One of them is a golf book to a bunch of golfers who have children, just as a gift. And I sent it to Tabitha and Jim Furyk, who are in Florida. And Jim Furyk is an amazing golfer. And Tabitha, his wife, wrote to me and asked if I'd be willing to go to Operation Shower in Florida and donate a few copies for the moms. They are expecting moms. They're military moms. And so it's a baby shower to celebrate military moms. And so we did that. We actually went. I got to speak at Operation Shower with Jim and Tabitha Furyk and donate. I donated 50 books and 50 plush, and I got to hang out with them. And of course, my husband and my son were just over the moon because they're avid golfers. And I mean, I like golf, and I like golf more now that my son plays, and that, I've met some really cool golfers. And I remember my husband gave me these addresses, like these names of people to send to, these golfers. And one of them was Jim Furyk. And I got an email from Tabitha, and my husband gets home from work, and I'm like, Tabitha Furyk? He's like, Furyk? I was like, yeah, she sent me an email today. She wants to know if we can go to Florida. Can we please go? And he's like, what?
Of course.
He's like, yes, we can go. That's so cool. I was like, well, it's so cool. We get to be a part of Operation Shower, which is so amazing to give back to the military. And so, yeah, we went, and we, got to meet them. That was really cool.
Yeah. Give me a second. I have a lingering cough. I had a slight cold earlier this week. All right, so it's really cool that you have the whole golf industry kind of get into it. I had another question about, I guess, getting started. Jeez, and I'm drinking water. Okay, so how did you get the book started? Like, I guess, published and printed. How did you go about finding who to print it? Like, how did you get started in that?
So when I wrote the first book, I ended up typing up what I wrote on pencil and paper, and I sent it to over 200 publishers and literary agents, and it's called querying. So you query these agents and these publishers, and I got about 88 rejections immediately. Of course, yeah. And then I got a lot of no responses. And then it was getting to be about a year where I was thinking about going back to practicing law because I really love doing that. And I ended up getting an email at 11 p.m. at night that a publisher wanted to publish the books. So it was such a great moment. And I just knew at that moment that that was a door that was going to open that would change all of our lives and our family.
So you have to query, and it sounds like they have to pick you?
Yes.
That's a strange thing. So if they pick you, do they pay for it for you?
It depends what kind of publisher you have. So in the beginning, I had a hybrid publisher. And so, which now I'm with a traditional publisher. So a hybrid publisher will print your books, but essentially your royalties are based on whether or not you pay for the books to be printed at a wholesale cost and sold versus them paying for all the books and everything with it. And so in the beginning, I was with a hybrid publisher. Last year, Pelican Publishing picked me up, which was great, and they picked up the entire series. They're a traditional publisher, and so I mean, I can't say too much about our contract, but it is it was the goal all along to be with a traditional publisher.
I bet. That sounds amazing. All right. Before we go too far, I need to mention our sponsors. So as you probably have already seen below our logos there, we have a couple of them for you. So the Music Academy of Acadiana, they are a longtime sponsor of ours. We really appreciate them. They teach lessons of all students, ages and styles. Pretty much any instrument you want to learn, voice, drums. I mean, voice is your own instrument, but they can help you refine it. Violin, saxophone, flute, piano, guitar. And they also do audio production and several other fun things in the music industry. They've sent students to college and to compete in major music competitions, and also premiered on music contests like American Idol and The Voice, founded locally by Tim Benson, a UL Lafayette music school graduate. And the Academy has been voted as a top finalist in several, local papers, and as a best of company, and they've won several local and national awards over their tenure. And so their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. Their website is musicacademyacadiana.com, and you can also find out more about them on Facebook and Instagram, and I believe the owner is on LinkedIn. So, and I think maybe Twitter too. Just check them out if you want to learn more. Their website is on the screen, musicacademyacadiana.com. And then also we have our tech sponsor, who is a great local company. They're the only local Apple authorized service provider in the Acadiana area. So basically, call them the Apple Store for Lafayette or Acadiana. If you want your Apple products fixed, repaired the right way, where everything works as it should, just as you got it out of the box, the Orchard can do that for you. You can do MacBooks. They fix MacBooks, iMacs, iPhones. Even if you have an iPod and iPads too. I don't know about iPod. I think that's obsolete now. But they fix all that, and they also do in-home and in-office networking. So check them out. Their website is theorchardstores.com. They have 2 locations in Lafayette next to Buffalo Wild Wings, and in Karen Crow next to Super One. All right. So before we left off, we were talking about publishing and all that, how all that kind of works. And, I guess I kind of had an idea of how it might work, and I've never really dived into it because I've always thought that books were seemingly on their way out because of the internet whenever I was younger. And I'm like, oh, who's going to have a book later on? It's kind of like nowadays, who has a CD?
Right.
Like you just stream it. So kind of going in that vein, you have physical copies of the books, which physical copies of anything will always be great to have. A lot of people still buy music CDs because they want the physical copy. They just like it. Now, you have to have a CD player, and most cars nowadays don't have that.
Yeah.
But a book, you can open a book at any point in time. You don't have to have a subscription to it. You just pay one price for it, and it's yours forever. Do you also do like Amazon books, so like where it's read, and like do you read the book and it's recorded and people can listen to it on their, let's say, I think it's, what is that, the Amazon company, Kindle
Yeah.
what it's the Audible,
yes.
Yeah.
So I do have my books as an ebook, and they can be read on like Kindle devices. There's even like Google has a device, and on YouTube now, I've been reading my books. And a lot of authors don't do that because they feel like they're not going to buy the product. But for me, it's really just about spreading the word and getting people to know the series and Alley Cat. So, yeah. And also, apps now are really big. And so I have my books on an app called Caribou, which is really great. It's like a FaceTime app where you can read the book together, and you can do coloring pages. And
oh, that's cool.
yeah, so the book is pretty much digital on those devices.
All right. So going back to the physical here, you have a few of your books on your lap there, and I'll put the camera on you there, so if you want to show it. Yeah, so this one is the Alley Cat and the Cattywampus Wednesday. And like we said, Cattywampus is not a character, right?
Nope.
Okay.
It's a word.
It's a word, yeah. So is that that's not your first book, correct?
Nope.
Is that your most recent book?
Yes, this one was released on Monday of this week.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like new.
It's brand
fresh
new.
Off the press.
Yep. And we're having a book launch party on tomorrow at the little gym down the road to celebrate the release.
All right. So without giving too much information on it, kind of what's the trailer like? If you had to describe it in like a few short words, what's that book like?
So I'll give like a little bit of backstory and inspiration. So during the pandemic, when, the whole world shut down, we didn't know the world was cattywampus, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when things are kind of out of control for me, I write. And so I wanted to write a book for kids because I figured that they were probably a little confused of what was going on and didn't know where the world was, taking us. But I didn't want to write a book about the pandemic because really who wants to read about the pandemic?
Nobody wants to read about that.
That's, old news. So I wrote a book about a day that Alley Cat has that goes completely backwards. Everything is backwards. People are spelling words backwards, like Louisiana. They spell it backwards. Her locker is backwards. They're eating seafood gumbo for breakfast. And so she has to get through the day with a positive attitude and help from her friends and her family, those things that are constant in our lives, to kind of figure out what's going on and how to get through it. And I wanted kids to have a resource and tool so when they have a cattywampus day or month or year, that they can rely on those things that are constant, like friends and family, and a positive attitude.
That's awesome. And so you're having a release party, like you said, tomorrow, which is Saturday, May 14th, 2022. So if you're watching this in 2023, you've missed the boat. And at the little gym right off of Ambassador, correct?
Correct. From 3 to 6 p.m.
3 to 6. And you're going to have a book. Is that a book signing?
It's a book signing, but we have all of these activities. We have canes coming with lemonade and chicken, and we have Jolie cakes with some cookie cakes. Rick Hessler has his cotton candy machine, and he's doing balloons. We have people doing fairy hair, so I'll probably get some fairy hair. Face painting. Wildcat Foundation will be there with adoptable kittens.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and so $1 from the sale of each book goes to Wildcat Foundation also.
And how much does a book cost with everything signed tomorrow if somebody were to buy a book?
So this book is $17.99.
Okay, awesome.
And these are $15 because these actually don't have like the nice little little dust jacket.
Nice. And so how many pages is an average book? And like, are the words big? Are the words small? Like, is it really detailed? If you want to, I don't know if you want to open it up, but maybe just kind of glance at it.
So the average children's picture book is 32 pages. And so it consists of spreads that are either full page spreads like this.
Okay.
Or they have separate spreads where you have 2 pictures on one. This is a full page spread. And so there's about 32 spreads. And the words are usually around 600 to 900 word count in a children's picture book.
Okay.
Mine are a little bit longer because I want it to be lesson based. It's hard to kind of put everything in.
Yeah, but I can tell right now they're big enough, and everything looks great on it. So it's a great children's book from visuals so far that I can tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so you have several other books there. How many books total you have? 5?
I have 5 books. They're all based on the days of the week, and so in no particular order. I have 5 that are now released, and my 6th one is being produced right now. It'll be out next year. And that's the Alley Cat and a Sleepover Saturday.
Wow. All right. So you are working on the 6th book already. And you said you started this in 2016?
2016.
Like, how do you, like, what do you do to find the inspiration for all the books? I think as a creative person myself, there are times where I bang my head against the wall. Like I'm just stumped. And my creative outlet is usually graphic design, drawing. And you being a writer, you literally have what everybody calls writer's block. Mm-hmm. I mean, that your title would lead to that. Yeah. Do you find yourself having writer's block at times?
Yes.
And how do you overcome that?
So if I have writer's block, which usually when I'm really busy, like right now, there's no way I could just sit down and write something with the release of this book. You know?
Oh, of course not. Too much going on.
Yeah. So what I do when I have writer's block is I go and I just watch my kids interact, and I listen really well to what they're talking about. I watch my own pets and what they're doing and how they're interacting. I'm not like this creepy person watching,
Yeah, but you're observant.
I'm observing. And so if you watch your own kids and watch your animals and just kind of put yourself in their shoes, it's very entertaining. When you step outside that parent role, it's pretty funny and it's entertaining. And so, of course, there's going to be problems and issues you're going to have to solve. And so those are really good content for a children's book.
Yeah. And where do you do most of your writing, I guess? Do you have to do it in your room with the lights off and like a small lamp on with like some waterfall sounds in the background? Or can you find yourself at a coffee shop amongst all the noise, hustle and bustle of people doing stuff and the cash register ringing, whatever else? Are you able to do it there? Or do you have to go on vacation and sit by a beach with the waves in the background? What's your ideal setting for your creative juices to start kind of being placed on paper?
So it's easiest for me to write when I am outside at my house in a folding chair, and we have like a pond that's behind our house, just listening to the pond, and a bag of purple Skittles like on my lap and just constantly eating Skittles. I don't know. I'm like one of these people where, like, if I'm nervous, I eat. If I am just antsy about something, I eat. Like, I'm just one of these stress eaters. And so I guess writing might be stressful to me, but I love it, Okay. And so, no one can be around because I get distracted very easily.
So some of the stuff you described sounds like straight up movie star traits. Like, gotta have purple Skittles. Yeah. Like, don't give me yellow.
I mean, I buy them myself. I'm not.
Oh, hey, that's a plus. Oh, you buy them yourself. But like, you hear about some of these really famous people. Like, I gotta have this.
The green ones.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
and
not
then
me.
And polish them, and I gotta have this type of water. It's gotta be Fiji. It can't be Aquafina.
That's not me. But yeah, purple Skittles or hot tamales, that would be the best.
Hot tamales. All right. Wow. Okay. and just candy, eating or writing a children's book. That makes so much sense.
I know.
All right. So I guess give us a glimpse into this next book. Obviously, you're at Wednesday right now with your current book. It sounds like you're going to be hitting on Thursday.
Saturday. Next one's Saturday.
The next book is about Saturday?
Yes, sleepover.
Okay.
This one
Okay, so you already have a Thursday?
Yeah, this was the very first one in 2016.
Ah, okay. So I didn't catch the rotation there. So cool. You already have Thursday. So you don't have a Sunday.
They're not in any particular order.
Got it.
I didn't want it to be too predictable. So I have all of them published except for Saturday and Sunday.
All
I
right.
figured that would be the hardest to write. But I did write Saturday. It's Sleepover Saturday. It's getting produced right now. And I think it's going to be really fun because, kids love sleepovers.
Oh, yeah. Those are some of my most fond memories.
Yep. And it's a party that Alley Cat's having, and they're having a sleepover. They're sleeping outdoors in a tent with s'mores, and they're telling ghost stories. And, when I go to author visits, I always get a question besides how much money do you make? When are you going to put dogs in the book? And so,
dogs.
How old are you, Miss Allison? When are you going to put dogs in the book? So, I've always said no dogs. But then I decided, you know what? There's going to be a scary story in that next book with these big, fluffy dogs that are scary and big, scruffy dogs. And so there's finally going to be dogs in the Alley Cat book.
And it's part of a ghost story.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
I love it.
And then there's a ghost story with a mouse in a hotel, like a ghost mouse. And so, yeah. So the little kittens are totally frazzled.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And so you mentioned your husband a few times, so you're married.
Yes.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what does he do?
So he works in the oil field industry.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like
and he's my box carrier. Like when I go to
he's the
one carrying all the
he's
boxes.
the ox.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that's pulling everything around. So does and I'm trying not to get like too, I guess, personal, but I'm just curious. Does your work sustain your portion, I guess, of the relationship's income, or does he kind of help support you as a husband in that way? And obviously, women obviously can make more than men. A lot of women do. So does that balance out, or like is there support from that side? Like, what does that look like, if you don't mind? If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
Let's see, how do I answer that? So, he obviously supports our family tremendously, and this, which is not a hobby, because obviously,
there's real work being put into this.
Right.
Besides, hobby is like one of those things where you can give up one day and like it is what it is. I have my job to do, but I have to.
Hobbies. My dad always says hobbies don't really make you money, but it gives you joy.
Yeah.
So.
And so this, while it might have started as a slight hobby, which most good businesses start as a hobby because you enjoy it and you learn how to create a business out of it. This is a real business. Like you have a full-fledged website, which I'll actually pull up in just a second here for you guys to see. So this is the landing page. There's a huge Amazon #1 bestseller badge there, which we didn't even get to mention. Like, your book is a Amazon bestseller. That's really cool, in and of itself.
Yep, and it's won over 17 awards. It's just done really well, which I'm not in it for the awards and the bestsellers. I was really just in it because I wanted kids to have tools, and I adore going to author visits and seeing these kids happy and smiling. And I have a giant mascot that they love to hug, and they chant Alley Cat as she walks in. Just seeing how happy they are and seeing them hug the big giant 6-foot cat is just everything, because after a pandemic when we couldn't hug each other, it's just everything. And but kind of going back to your question about an author and making money. And during the pandemic, my business partner, Lori, and I, my now business partner with Forward Publicity, which is a PR firm that we started for authors. It's solely to help them market their books. So during the pandemic, she and I started a podcast where we would help authors still get out there in that virtual world. And so, teachers and schools can use the videos of this author interview in their virtual classrooms. And so while doing that, some authors would ask us to help market their books because we were marketing our own. And so we picked up one client, and that was the beginning of the pandemic. And now we've picked up over 200 amazing authors and helped them. And so it's a part of being an author, and it's a part of my job now and career. But it's all in the same industry and so much fun. And to be a part of authors' journeys and cheer them on when they get awards and be, helpful and give back, it's such a great way. And that started during the pandemic.
I'm glad you mentioned that other part of your story because I have it here and I totally didn't even think about mentioning it just now until obviously, thankfully you did. So that actually adds a layer of, revenue stream for you. Right. So with 200 clients, I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. Like you got a good bit there.
Yeah. My business partner, Lori, she lives in Chicago. She's got an extensive background in marketing. She worked for PBS, and we were both with the same publisher originally. She's an author too. And so just collaborating with her, I think that was, it was just such the perfect matchup. She and I, we work so well together, and we both really do care about what we do. And we do want other authors to succeed. A lot of people would say, you're an author helping other authors. That's your competition. But we don't see it that way. We don't. We want others to experience what we've experienced. And she's a successful author too. So,
yeah, that's not competition at all. Like that's just a weird way of thinking about it. Like, unless somebody was, I would look at it as competition if somebody said, you know what, I'm going to write a book about a young cat and
days of the week.
Yeah, the days of the week. And like, God forbid if they tried to name it Alley Cat, because that right. You would get into copyright infringement and trademark and all that issue. And you having a law background, like, you can nip that in the bud pretty quick there. So yeah, I mean, honestly, even if you want to call it competition is usually pretty good, and it promotes creativity, it promotes innovation, and without a competition, you're never driven to do something better. You get complacent, and then so I don't consider this competition, but it does help you fulfill you as a person, because you love writing, you love children's books, and you love helping other authors. Because, I mean, let's face it, becoming a creative person professionally is like it's no joke. Like, it's hard, and you got to have a lot of background knowledge of, like, copyrights and trademarks, and like sometimes artists have gotten, frankly, screwed because they didn't know some of the laws around their own work.
Right. And when you're a creative, it's almost like a one-man show.
Yeah.
I'm doing my website. I'm marketing. I'm doing, everything.
Wait, so you do your own website?
I do.
That's great.
Yes, we actually build websites too for our clients now. So, Lori and I are the type of people where if we don't know how to do something, we're going to learn it.
Yeah.
And we try to learn what's in our industry so that we can help others. And so I built my website. We do our own book trailers, and we just keep learning, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Killing it, man. I love this. Whenever I saw the website, I'm like, oh, this is well done. I like the website, because the video in the background, at least I think it's a video. It's definitely moving like a video. I was like, dude, this is well done. Because I build websites on the side for people, and I'll make a couple $100 here and there. doing that. And then it's definitely not a full-time gig. I like doing it just because I love that type of work. And looking at it, I was like, this is nice.
You're probably much better at it than I am.
No. Look, I use all the popular places now, Squarespace and WordPress, and those are amazing sites to kind of build something pretty quick. And then I'm guessing you built the Forward Publicity website too.
Yes, we just got it redone by someone that we work with, and she's fabulous. So I did build it, but we've just renovated it. Yeah. I adore it. I think it's so great now.
Yeah, I'm gonna show that. So the website is forwardpublicity.com, and so over 200 book titles under their belt. You get media coverage, you get all this stuff. I mean, look, this is just a few of the media outlets that their authors have been featured by.
Jamie Lee Curtis, the White House. We've just aligned our clients with people who, their content resonated with. So
yeah, man, Jamie Lee Curtis, huh?
Yeah, she was reading books during the pandemic.
I think I remember that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people were doing some really creative things during the pandemic, and you know what? If I was to say I would miss anything from this god awful pandemic, was the sheer amount of creativity and innovation that unfortunate event brought to the world. I mean, it created a lot of new businesses, and a lot of people. I mean, obviously, you guys created a business through the pandemic.
I know. Wow.
It's just really neat to see, and it blows my mind that something as terrible as a global pandemic, however you want to look at it, I'm not trying to politicize it, but it was an issue one way or another, and people made it.
They thrived.
People thrived. I mean, some people didn't, but those are the people that let the pandemic get them down. Now, if you suffered a loss, obviously that is a different situation. We're just talking about emotionally and in business. But yeah, man, I mean, there's been so many businesses that have started before the pandemic, that have gone through the pandemic, they grew. Mm-hmm. They sold more than they ever sold through the pandemic. They doubled in size in their businesses physically, which is a crazy thing too.
Right.
Because you would think, the pandemic, you're not supposed to have physical interactions, but some of them did, and they still grew. Yeah.
If they were able to adapt. Some people obviously couldn't, but with any situation, if you try your best to adapt to it and have a positive attitude and help others, I sometimes it works out.
Yeah. So again, the website for the Alley Cat series is alleycatseries.com. You can go check out the books there, and all of Allison's creations, and her custom website that she did herself, which looks great. You can also shop. You can see media. You can see the charity and partnerships, and there's a few extras. There's like some downloadable coloring pages and other things like that. So really cool. And then if you are an author yourself and are finding it hard to get started and get out there, there's definitely a resource here who is a author also. If you haven't listened to this podcast at all, you should know that. But check out Allison and Lori's website, forwardpublicity.com. It's a company based around helping authors publicize and market their books, and to help grow and to put more written word out there, good quality content. Allison, man, this has been a great thing to talk about. Is there anything that we didn't mention that I feel like we should have? I think I got most of my big questions out of the way. I definitely was not going to ask, how old are you?
I was going to say, you didn't ask me my age, which I'm 41. I know.
No, yeah, and you do not look 41. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm 36, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm tapping on that 40 door.
I know. It's
Lord.
it's no joke.
It's no joke. Look, I remember being 27. I'm like, I'm almost 30.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? And like, whenever I was almost 20, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, you're 21 was like that big milestone. Like, oh yeah, I can actually be old enough to buy alcohol. Like, not that it mattered, because after I turned 21, I didn't really have a big deal with drinking anyway. So I was like, listen, it's really not that big of a deal. And then 25 came, and my insurance rate on my car went a little lower. I'm like, dang. Okay, now it feels a little personal.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like, am I being told that I'm getting older? Like,
yeah, and then you get gray hair, and it's just. I know.
Yeah, my wife, she's made sure to point out my gray hair strands in the beard. She's like, you got one gray hair right there. I'm like, pull it. Pull it.
I know. My husband has a gray beard, so, but.
Look, I'm telling you, I've told everybody, like, if I'm gonna go gray, just hit it hard. I want salt and pepper. Well, in my case, it would be cinnamon and sugar colored. I just give me the gray. Don't make it sporadic. Don't give me the one strand. And what am I getting? I'm getting the 1 or 2 strands here, and I think I'm starting to get a little lighter in the near the burns there. And
look, you can just come to the book launch party on Saturday and get fairy hair.
Fairy hair.
Yes,
there you go.
It's like little tinsels with like rainbow, purple, pink. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I don't know if I'll do that, but I love that you're gonna have that for all the kiddos, and I'm pretty sure some of the parents will probably take part in that. I'm not doing fairy hair.
I mean, I might.
You might.
I might. I'm not doing face painting, but.
Oh no, God, I haven't done face painting in forever. Anyway, obviously we're wrapping up here. Allison, I hope that you found this to be helpful, and I love the conversation. I love knowing a little bit about everybody's journey through the Acadiana area. Like, there's so many different people that I want to just talk to and get to know, and I'm happy that somehow we were able to cross paths, and I was like, you know what? I think it would be great to have you on the podcast and to talk about the book.
Well, thank you. I've been following Developing Lafayette for, 10 years now?
Yeah, that's been 10 years, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. That is really, really, really impressive.
It's going to be weird, though, if it gets to 20 years. I'm going to be like, oh, my God.
How old will you be then?
46.
Oh.
Yeah, that's weird to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it.
Go to your happy place.
Alrighty. Well, Allison, again, thank you for coming on and talking about your book. And guys, check it out. She's got that book signing tomorrow. If you're still listening, and we'll post it on the video caption too, because I think that'd be great to mention. And anyway, I hope it goes great tomorrow, and I hope you sell out of books. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Sell out. I'm putting it out there in the universe.
You.
Sell out.
Yep.
And
it doesn't rain, right?
Right. And it hopefully, is it supposed to rain?
Mm-hmm,
oh my God!
50%.
Stop it!
I know.
Okay.
But it's an indoor outdoor, so it's okay.
You got the indoor situation handled good.
All the kittens will be indoors.
Sweet. So. Yeah, because let's just say cats don't like to get wet.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, anyway, that is it, Allison. Again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, you have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.